Support comes from Mosby Building Arts, on a mission to create remodeling experiences worthy of five-star online reviews. See the difference at callmosby.com.
From the St. Louis Public Radio Newsroom, this is The Gateway. It's Tuesday, March 3rd. I'm Jonathan Ahl, in for Abby Larico. Electricity prices are increasing nationwide and are now the fastest driver of inflation. Or put another way,
so electricity is the new eggs.
We'll hear what's contributing to higher prices and what some experts say can be done about it. That's coming up on The Gateway. An airstrike over the weekend killed Iran's longtime supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, leading to both demonstrations of joy and mourning around the world. St. Louis Public Radio's Hiba Ahmed checked in with some St. Louis area Iranians and has this report.
Pastor Raymond Gharabeghi of the Farsi Christian Fellowship is still trying to get in touch with his family after this weekend's bombing. His parents and siblings still live in Tehran, and the internet connection has been shoddy. Despite the sudden escalation, Gharabeghi believes the joint U.S.-Israel effort to usher in regime change is a good thing for Iran.
People in Iran, they wanted to America and Israel come and help them. And you could hear and see it in videos that people are chanting and thanking the President Trump.
He encourages people to put their politics aside and center Iranian voices as they figure out next steps for their country. I'm Hiba Ahmed, St. Louis Public Radio.
The Missouri House approved legislation yesterday that would create an automatic expungement process for most nonviolent offenses. Representatives voted 140 to 7 for a bill that establishes an automatic record clearing or expungement process for closing records for clean slate eligible offenses. Democratic Representative Marlene Terry sponsored similar legislation this session. She says giving people second chances will aid them and the state.
This is a good and just bill that will bring prosperity and community back to countless individuals and family within our state.
The expungement would not apply to offenses against children, violent crimes, or traffic violations. The legislation now goes to the Senate. A Missouri Senate committee heard testimony yesterday over legislation that would make the city of St. Louis and not the state financially responsible for civil lawsuits against the police department. As St. Louis Public Radio's Sarah Kellogg reports, the bill comes one session after lawmakers placed the St. Louis Police Department under a state-appointed board.
The legislation would make clear that St. Louis would be financially responsible for civil lawsuits against the police department instead of the state. The act also excludes litigation costs, including settlements, from the calculation of expenses for the police budget. Senator Barbara Washington spoke against the legislation. The Kansas City Democrat at one point said she was going to kill the bill.
What you're asking is saying, hey, y'all can do whatever y'all want to do. We don't care. You can be reckless. You can throw somebody in the ground. You can sexually harass somebody. You can fire somebody for age. But we're not responsible for any of that.
The legislation comes after state lawmakers last year took local control of the police away from St. Louis and instead to a state-appointed board. In Jefferson City, I'm Sarah Kellogg, St. Louis Public Radio.
The number of homicides East St. Louis reported in 2025 is the lowest in 45 years. The Metro East town had 15 murders last year. That's according to data recently released by the Illinois State Police. That figure peaked in recent years with 36 in 2019. Police Chief Kendall Perry says the town continues to head in the right direction.
What it means to the citizens of East St. Louis is a better future, safer streets where our good citizens can actually walk the streets and sit on their porches and feel safer than they've had in a long time.
Illinois State Police credit much of the drop to their public safety enforcement group that combines the resources of the Illinois State Police, East St. Louis's police department, and local organizations to solve and prevent violent crime. A federal judge has dismissed a lawsuit from the city of East St. Louis seeking massive fines from alleged pollution linked to Monsanto. As St. Louis Public Radio's Katie Gravich reports, city leaders say the decision leaves the city on the hook for cleanup costs.
East St. Louis filed the lawsuit in 2021, claiming Monsanto dumped toxic chemicals for roughly 5 decades at a 270-acre site near its old chemical plant in Sauget. The chemicals, known as PCBs, are considered a probable carcinogen by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. They have been banned from production in the U.S. since the 1970s, when the Sauget plant closed. In court filings, the city said soil samples show highly elevated PCB levels in the area in December 2020. But in a Friday decision, the judge said the statute of limitations for the complaint passed decades ago. Lawyers representing Monsanto estimate fines would have exceeded $2.7 billion. I'm Katie Grovich, St. Louis Public Radio.
The St. Louis Cardinals unveiled a new ticket option for the season that includes bottomless soft drinks and some concessions. The package gives fans a ticket in a special section at Busch Stadium and a wristband to get access to the new unlimited concession stand. There, fans can pick up unlimited soft drinks and food options that include hot dogs, bratwurst, popcorn, peanuts, nachos, and ice cream. The ticket does not include alcoholic beverages, so adult fans will still have to buy beers. The tickets start at $29, and the price depends on demand for the game. Since 2021, electricity prices nationwide have increased nearly 40%, with the average household spending about $1,800 on those bills. As Jana Rose Schleiss reports, these rising costs have become political, and experts say the power to respond lies with state lawmakers.
Extreme weather, rising fuel prices, and costly repairs to an aging energy grid. That trifecta is causing electricity bills to creep up nationwide.
We are experiencing an electricity affordability crisis where 80 million Americans, or 1 in 3 households, are unable to pay or struggling to pay their utility bills.
Charles Hua is founder and executive director of Powerlines, a national energy consumer education nonprofit. He says increasing electricity demand from AI data centers could compound the challenges facing the grid. And it's getting political.
The issue of rising utility bills started as an energy story in most of 2025 until it very quickly became a consumer and economic story come summer, and then in the fall, it really quickly became a national political story.
Hua says electricity prices are now the fastest drivers of inflation. Put another way,
so electricity is the new eggs.
The amount corporate utilities are able to charge their customers for energy is approved by regulators in each state. And in the past few years, the requests coming across their desks have been getting bigger and bigger. According to Powerline's analysis, across the country, investor-owned utilities asked regulators for nearly $31 billion in price hikes last year. That's more than double the $15 billion requested in 2024. In the Midwest, Hua says corporate utilities asked to raise prices by a collective $3 billion, with approximately $1.5 billion approved thus far. Center on Budget and Policy Priorities state climate researcher Rachel Jacobson says the people who have power to rein in utility bills are those working in state capitals.
Ultimately, state legislatures also have the ability to direct their public utility commissions to do certain things.
Jacobson recommends lawmakers make affordability not just a priority, but a metric state utility regulators hold energy companies accountable to.
So much of what influences energy affordability is the decisions that are made by utility companies, and those decisions are governed by public utility commissions at the state level.
Jacobson's colleague and climate policy analyst Michaela Tahoe says rising utility costs often pair with tough choices for low-income families.
We're seeing households who are having to choose, should I put food on the table or should I turn on the AC to avoid getting a heat stroke in my house?
Data from the U.S. Department of Energy shows that in Missouri, households below the federal poverty level are spending, on average, 22% of their income on energy bills. To reduce the immediate harm rising costs can cause customers, Jacobson and Tahoe say state legislatures could expand bill assistance programs. Charles Hua with Powerline says, given the compounding issues leading to higher electricity bills, there's only so much the average customer can do.
Of course, it's helpful to turn off your lights, but at a certain point, a lot of folks have tried that, and that's not leading to lower utility bills because the forces that are driving up utility bills are much more systemic in nature.
And now, Missouri lawmakers are proposing significant changes to those systemic forces in the utility industry. I'm Jana Rose Schleiss.
That story comes to us from member station KBIA in Columbia. The Gateway is a production of St. Louis Public Radio, music by Ryan McNeely of Adult Fur. We are a member-supported service of the University of Missouri, St. Louis. I'm Jonathan Ahl, and from the St. Louis Public Radio Newsroom, this has been The Gateway.